Kevin, and Carrie.
Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Well, hey. Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I'm your host, Chris Avalon, and for the next, I don't know, maybe 2 hours, might go over a little bit over that. We're going to be talking about all the latest in entertainment news, celebrity news, gossip, anything that has to do with what's going on in the world of pop culture and hot topics and entertainment. We talk about it on this here show. So before we get to said topics, can you please do me a solid, a really nice solid, and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. And we got a lot of tea to get to. I'm surprised that I could find so much tea, but you know me, I did, and I am going to talk about it. So we're going to talk about Drake Bell. He's out here defending Josh Peck. I want to talk about that. Plus, Aaron Taylor Johnson is defending his huge age gap with his wife. He's 33 and she's 57. So we're going to talk about that because, you know, it's in the latest Rolling Stone UK. He addresses it. Speaking of addressing, Azealia Banks is throwing shade at Beyonce over her album cover, calling it white woman cosplay. We're going to get into that. She ain't the only one getting some shade thrown at her, you know, situation. Erykah Badu threw the whole damn palm tree, and the BeyHive went after her ass, and rightfully so. And we're gonna talk about it. Plus, we got some tea on Wendy Williams. Michael Jackson's son Blanket is suing his grandmother. We're gonna get into that. Nelson Thomas from the Challenge. We're gonna talk about that because you know he recently got his foot amputated. It was quite brought up whether or not his back MTV turned their back on him following the whole DUI situation. We got one of the girls from the Housewives was fired from Beverly Hills. We're going to talk about that. Plus, Lucas Gage is opening up about his real short marriage to Chris Appleton. We're going to talk about that because he went on Andy Cohen's show, Watch What Happens Live, and Andy got the tea, and we're going to spill it. Plus, Irish chef Stuart O'Keefe. You know, the other day we did mention that he was supposed to be one of the original Fab Five from Queer Eye. What had happened was there was an alluding that he was taken out and replaced literally at the last second by Anthony Porowski. Some people believe that Tan France had something to do with it. Stewart spilled some tea over at the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast. We're gonna play that clip, and he pretty much said that one of the cast members from Queer Eye had him removed to bring in Anthony. So we're gonna talk about. He confirmed it in the interview. So we're gonna play that clip here. Plus, Violet Chachki, you know, the winner of Drag Race season 7, you know, one of my least favorite seasons, by the way, thinks there might be too many drag queens running around on Drag Race. So we're gonna talk about that and a whole lot more. Hold on, because there was something that I forgot to open up this damn um clip over on the ticket talkie. Hopefully it goes right to it. Because one of the things I do not like about TikTok is the fact that it will open up some clip over on that I ain't even asked for, chat. Like it'll go literally to a whole nother situation. I'm like, that ain't the clip I wanted. Hold the phone, hold the phone. See, this is not me not being prepared. But I got it down. All right. So as I stated before, can y'all please do that solid and hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification button so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Let me hit my banner. And there's a couple little small topics that I want to get to before we get to the main ones. And one of them is I want to talk about the never ending story. Now, I don't know if maybe this is beyond y'all time or a couple of people, if y'all aware, but I don't know if y'all know this, but The Never Ending Story is actually one of my all-time favorite kids movies. I absolutely love that movie. I always wanted a Luck Dragon after I watched it. I wanted to be a Trail. I was kind of like the Bastion character because I was always the kid that was reading books and going into this whole little fantasy world and all this other stuff. But I actually in the books when I saw the movie and all this other stuff, and I think I did read the book as a child. I don't remember, but I wanted to be a trail. Well, the word on the street is apparently they're reviving the Never Ending Story franchise and it's going to be turned into a series of movies and books. So, according to Variety, the Never Ending Story, the beloved fantasy novel from late German author Michael Ende that was famously adapted into a cult 1984 film, which means child, the movie turns 40 this year if it didn't already. Um, is being revived for the big screen once more with a new joint venture partnership between Michael Ende Productions and prestige tastemakers Cecil Films, bringing the world of Fantastica back to cinemas over multiple live action films. The news brings to an end the race for one of the hottest fantasy properties yet to be tapped for modern audiences. Variety hears that Endy's estate has been fielding interest from across the globe over the last few years, including from studios and streamers. Now, Cecil, no stranger to adapting well-known literature for screen, having been behind features including Lion and the Power of the Dog and recent TV hits Heartstopper and Slow Horses, has now teamed with Michael Ende Productions to develop and produce the films. The new partnership has been granted the Neverending Story rights by Endy's executor, Dr. Wolf Dieter von Grunau. Ian Canning and Emil Sherman will produce for Cecil alongside Roman Hawk and Ralph Glasman and Michael Ende Productions. Now, for those of you who don't know what it's about, the book was published in 1979. The Neverending Story became a bestseller in Germany and will be translated into 45 languages, selling millions of copies worldwide. At the center of the story is the awkward but imaginative child Bastian Balthazar Bucks, who, while escaping from bullies, discovers the mysterious book, The Never-Ending Story about the heroic Atreyu, and his mission to save the magical realm of Fantastica, a world of dragons, giants, vast kingdoms, and deadly swamps, and its ruler, the childlike empress, from being destroyed by a force known as the Nothing. But the more he reads, the more Bastian realizes he's not simply an uninvolved spectator, and he soon finds himself transported into Fantastica himself, flying atop the Luck Dragon Falcor. So this is a timeless classic. I remember in the movie they called it Fantasia, but in the book it's called Fantastica. And I do love the whole idea because I feel like in this day and age, with the way technology has advanced, and don't get me wrong, I love what they managed to do. Wolfgang Peterson when he directed it, I love what he was able to do back in 1984 with the practical effects and the puppets. Like, or I think it was Jim Henson's Creature Shop that had something to do with the creation of a lot of the Luck Dragon, a lot of the creatures and everything that was in that film. So I love the practicality that they did in the original movie. But now, since we're at a place where special effects, a lot of things have advanced since within the last 40 years since the movie came out, since it came out in '84. I'm actually interested in seeing what they're doing, like especially with the success of like Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, because that was the '80s, that's rooted in the '80s. And I did hear from the article that they said that Stranger Things may have had something to do with the success of Stranger Things, may have had something to do with people getting interest in the Never Ending Story. So with that whole idea of the '80s music, and plus, don't even get me wrong, that JoJo Moroder soundtrack, bitch. When I tell you that Lee Maul song, the Never Ending Story theme song, I always thought that was a woman that was singing that song, by the way, but it was a man with a mullet, blonde mullet. I used to live for that song. I love the synths, the soundtrack, everything. Like the movie was just a way ahead of its time. It was a really cool kids film, and I love it still to this day. That and The Goonies is like two of my all-time favorite classic '80s kid films. Like I watch them shits all the damn time. That's like one of my all-time favorite. But anyway, so I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with this genre and bring it into now for the next generation to enjoy basically what I enjoyed when I was a kid. So if they could kind of give it more of like this Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, like put it in that whole vibe, I'm here for it, especially when they talk about dragons and they can have these elaborate sets where you shoot it over in England and all other stuff, and you could bring in the dragons, you could bring in the swamp and the nothing, and you could do all the crazy things you need to do with it. It'd be cool to see, and I really hope that when they do cast whoever to play Atreyu, that is some like really cool kid. Atreyu is indigenous, so I would love to see that an indigenous actor play that role and see what they do with it because I mean, even though I'm an adult, I will watch it, but I just hope it doesn't suck. That's all I got to say on that. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing this franchise. I mean, what they're going to do with the franchise. And like I said, it's one of my all time favorites um, kid films. Okay, so now let's move on to our next topic, and let's talk about Taylor Swift boyfriend Travis Kelce, who seems to be looking like he's trying to move on out of playing football because you can't play that sport forever. Like it comes a point where you got to be able to transition, like a Michael Strahan or someone like, or someone in that you know situation, or like even what's his name, Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp, he basically like Wendy Williams with weight plates. He out here spilled everybody's tea. Um, So Travis Kelce is looking to move beyond, and the word on the street is they're looking to him to host a reboot of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader for Amazon. Now, according to Variety, it says the deal, if signed, will represent the football great's latest move towards general entertainment after appearances on SNL, the reality series Catching Kelsey, and a podcast he hosts with his brother Jason. And I already told y'all, I like his podcast with his brother Jason. So I would actually love to see Travis kind of transition out of that and do more hosting duties, maybe he can kind of take more of on the Michael Strahan role where he can end up hosting or being a part of an ensemble of a morning show where he's up there, interviewing celebrity guests and all that other stuff. And you can't sit up here and tell me that it wasn't because he with Miss Taylor Swift that all of a sudden everybody paying attention to him. Because quiet as it's kept, if we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, it's always been about Patrick Mahomes. So that's who I be like one of my faves over on, that team. But because now Travis Kelce is with Taylor Swift, he's getting a lot more attention. And that's no shade, it's a fact. Based off, it's based off observation. So it says that Amazon Prime Video declined to make executive available for comment, and CAA, the agency that represents Kelsey, could not be reached for immediate comment. There are some questions, according to the people familiar with the discussions, about how much of a commitment Kelsey would make to the venture if he continues playing football. The new version of the program, originally hosted by comedian Jeff Foxworthy and appearing on Fox, would rely on celebrity guests rather than children, according to these people. I don't like that. So how you gonna call it Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader but have grown ass people on it but no kids? Like the whole point of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader was you have kids on there, and then it's like, okay, you have the adults, if I remember correctly, because it's been so long since I've seen the damn show, that you would have to see if you could outsmart these kids. So why wouldn't you have a mixture of kids and celebrities? You gonna make them celebrities feel kind of dumb, I guess. Who knows? Maybe Travis Kelce would be better or suited for Hollywood Squares if they decide to reboot that. Because I don't like y'all trying to change this up. But anyway, so it says the new Kelsey would take the helm for a durable property. Fifth Grader ran on Fox for 3 seasons, starting in 2007, before moving into syndication. It returned to Fox for a fourth season, then migrated to a new version to Paramount Global's Nickelodeon, where it was hosted by John Cena. So, and he's not the only one, I should say, that is out here that has, if he does decide to do this, he won't be the first person that's hosted a game show. We had Michael Strahan, speaking of which, hosted $100,000 pyramid for ABC. I believe they canceled it. And then you had Peyton Manning hosted a retooled version of College Bowl for NBC and Peacock. I don't remember that. Maybe that's what it is. It kind of came and went really quickly. So um this would be a smart move, I think, on Travis's part because, leverage your relationship with Taylor Swift. I know as much as, we want to sit and be like, oh, well, you stop trying to make everything a business situation. But look, ever since them two got together, it seems to me that the industry has kind of made Travis and Taylor making it more about them and their business ventures than them actually being in a loving, real, authentic relationship. And who knows, maybe that is what it is behind the scenes, but it just seemed like since Taylor got with him, then all of a sudden it's like more people were girls who weren't, or people who weren't necessarily the Swifties, weren't really interested in him or football are now interested in football. Guys getting mad. I'm like, why? First of all, let me put myself in some heterosexual shoes for a second. Give me a second. It's gonna take me a minute to squeeze myself in these shoes. I'm kidding. I would think that if you're a straight guy who's single, this would be the perfect, like going to a football game and seeing a bunch of girls there. And I'm me working at a lot of games and stuff that I have, there do be some hot girls I have seen at arenas and stuff, at Rangers games, Knick games, whatever type of games they got going on, baseball games, football games, whatever. So I would think that would be the perfect place if I'm a guy to go meet a girl and possibly date them or whatever. Like that's what I would think. So I don't understand why people's upset, over the Swifties, infiltrating, their sports stuff. Like mostly here's the thing: guys are the dominant factor of sports, which is why if y'all ever notice, there's more male bathrooms at arenas and stadiums and things than female bathrooms because guys do tend to go to those events more so than women. But if you're gonna see a bunch of hot girls there, I'm like, I would just use that as a way to shoot my shot if I was in that situation. But it's also a good place to meet guys if you're gay, because trust and believe, there are lots of guys who are gay that love sports. They like basketball, they like football, they like baseball, they like, hockey, soccer, whatever. Like, trust and believe, I've seen them. So, we're not all out here wanting to do drag and paint our nails and do your hair and makeup. Like, there's a lot of gays out here who like it too. So this is a good place for the gays to go to also try to find a man, unlike them, and as well as the women. So shout out to you, Mr. Kelsey. All right, so let's move on to our main stuff. I just want to get those two topics out of the way. But hold on, let me get a little swigation of the wateration. And let's get into this Drake Bell story. So yesterday we talked about Drake Bell, and there was a whole situation. Allegedly, it was a beef between Drake and Josh, and there was this weird ass video that Josh Peck put up on his TikTok. We played the clip yesterday. Like I told y'all before, I am going to edit down that full review that I did yesterday of um the Nickelodeon docuseries. I thought it was a lot. That video at least went on for about a good. I think I talked about that shit for 30 minutes. I think I haven't cut it down and edited it yet, so I don't know the exact number. But I think I did that whole segment, that whole breakdown, because it was a lot that went on in them 4 parts. You can't skewer that to no 2-minute thing or no 10-minute TikTok. Like, that's literally, that might be like that Reese's Pieces video. That might have to be a 50 part. I'm kidding. I would never do that to y'all. But um, so we talked about that clip yesterday. We talked about that segment yesterday where Drake and Josh, apparently that Josh Peck, people were saying, getting mad at Josh because they felt like he wasn't coming to Drake's defense in the whole situation that was going on behind the scenes with him, with Brian Peck, who was the acting coach or the dialogue coach for Nickelodeon, who sexually assaulted Drake Bell and did all kinds of disgusting, heinous things to that boy. So, which I think some people felt that may have explained why, Drake Bell got caught out there and got in trouble for talking to an underage girl at one point. And it was addressed in the docuseries, but it wasn't, to me, it wasn't addressed enough. It was kind of like, I felt like y'all glossed over that real quick. So anyway, Drake Bell took to social media 24 hours after, but not even. I think it was just like shortly after I wrapped the show. He took to social media to inform fans that his Nickelodeon co-star Josh Peck has reached out to him in private about the abuse allegations that Bell made in the documentary series Quiet on Set: The Dark Side of Kids TV. Now, I'm going to shout out Deadline because this is where I got this story from. It says, after Bell revealed his experience with Nickelodeon dialogue and acting coach Brian Peck during his youth, many Nickelodeon fans took to social media to attack Josh. Although Josh and Brian have the same last name, they are unrelated, which was kind of confusing the hell out of me, where I had to choose carefully. It was like Brian Peck, Josh Peck. Brian is the pet, Chester the molester. Josh was the actor, and it's like y'all having the same damn last name. I almost forgot Brian's name. Now, and then we talked about, well, Bell actually took the TikTok to say that Josh had reached out to him and asked fans not to be so harsh on his former co-star, saying, I just want to clear something up. I've noticed a lot of comments on some of Josh's TikToks and some of his posts. Bell says in the video, I just want to let you guys know that this is really, processing this and going through this is really emotional time. And a lot of it is very, very difficult. So not everything is put out to the public. He continued by saying, but I just want you guys to know that he has reached out to me and has been very sensitive. But he reached out and talked with me to help me work through this and has been really, really great. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, and to it says take it a little easy on it. It doesn't make sense, but he says go easy on the situation. And for those of you who did not see the series, Brian Peck was arrested in 2003 on 11 charges, including sodomy, lewd act upon a child 14 to 15 by a person 10 years older, oral copulation by anesthesia or controlled substance, and the minor was never named until the thing was unsealed, and then he went on the documentary or the docuseries, and they devoted an entire 1 hour, basically a 1 hour episode to to Drake Bell, where he went and told his whole story. And I told y'all, after I watched it, I got emotional. I literally cried throughout watching that segment because I was like, that was just tough for me to get through. Like I said, I don't like pedophiles. I don't like people who do things like that. And I applaud Drake for coming out and speaking his truth, and all the people that were brave enough to come out and speak about what happened at Nickelodeon, and all the allegations and things that were alluded, where we think that maybe Amanda Bynes, the reason why she is the way she is because you know things happened to her on set, especially when she was with oh my god, what's the other guy's name? I forgot. Um Oh, Sailor Mermaid's in the building. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Let me get back to the topic. So, when she wound up doing what she was doing. But here's the thing: I noticed something this morning, and I want to talk about this because it connects with this story, and this is why I can't with you bitches. Because I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read Chris Massey mother, this whore, with her saying the bullshit she said. So I happened to be scrolling, minding my business, and the mother of former Zoe 101 star Chris Massey said the parents should be to blame for their children's treatment at Nickelodeon because she never had an issue with Dan Schneider. That's his name, Dan Schneider. I don't know how I forgot his damn name. Talking about, I can't thank this guy enough. Okay, Sambo. Now you go over there with your little cane and you tap dance for old massa. Cause didn't she have two kids, Chris Massey and Kyle Massey? Weren't they both on Nickelodeon at one point? And didn't Kyle Massey get into some shit too? Last I checked. So this whore went up saying, "Oh, so people went in on her. They was like, blame the parents for the things those kids went through. I blame him for writing some of that wild stuff he was writing. Like watching this documentary did something to all my childhood favorite shows." And this was what the fit celebrity, child, you ain't no damn. Well, you are a celebrity mother, but nobody knows you. Talking about, there are so many vetting steps that TV shows must go through before it hit the screen. Also, are you aware of the toxic workplace sexual allegations at TMZ surrounding Harvey Levin? I'm interested in his documentary. If somebody brave enough to put together something about Harvey Levin over at TMZ, I'm here for it. But we're not talking about Harvey Levin. We're talking about Nickelodeon. Stick to the facts, sis. This is what we need to be sticking to. Why you dragging other people into the conversation? Why you pull other people in the group chat when you need to be focusing on what needs to be focused on? So she goes, for myself and my family, I'm honored to have had an experience of a lifetime with Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon. Also know that the actual star's top billing actors have not said one negative thing about him, probably because they're afraid to, and some of them are probably still working to this day. Similar to when we were talking about yesterday about Ariana Grande. Some people was mad at her because she didn't come out and speak out, even though they were pulling clips from that show she was on where she pouring water over herself. Oh, I'm trying to squeeze a water out of a potato. Then they had one scene I forgot to bring up where they sliding a pickle through a damn hole in the door. That's a sign of a penis going through a glory hole. Kids know about that at that age. When I was growing up, I didn't know nothing about glory holes and penises going through that stuff, or anal sex, or throwing, pretending like I'm getting hit from the back. Like, I didn't know who knew about that stuff back then. We didn't have social media and internet the way that we do now, where you go on the computer and something pop, you can look for whatever, and then you find out what's the tea. We couldn't do that back then. We only had encyclopedias and magazines and whatever people told us available to us. That was the only way we got our news, which is why I think a lot of times some of these older people is stuck in the matrix when it comes to a lot of stuff, like all this tea coming out about, Palestine and all the other stuff. The truth is coming out from these social media platforms, and people are believing what they believe because they've been so used and bamboozled and brainwashed to believe from what they grew up knowing, which is, but pre-internet, you got your information from the media and you trusted the media was spilling the tea. So she went on to say, let me finish because I had to scroll over to find the rest of it because it cuts off. And she goes and says, also know that the actual star's top billing actors have not said one negative thing about him. Always consider the source and motives before you pick a side. The name as the made up stuff surrounding my son. Girl, nobody cares about your damn son. Neither one they asses. Cat Williams said is God's side and the other side. The man was Nickelodeon. He is a genius. He has no criminal accusations against it. I mean, just because nobody filed allegations don't necessarily mean nothing had happened. And actually, he does, because I told y'all yesterday, one of the female writers that was on the show filed a lawsuit against him for gender discrimination and not wanting to pay her the money that she was supposed to get paid and all that other stuff. She did take his ass to court. He was given a severance pay after all this other stuff started coming out over the years. So clearly, the bitch ain't watched the damn docu-series. She running up to my Google, 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 Google. Maybe if you sat your fat ass in your damn seat at home, in your love seat, and actually watch the docu-series, you'd have gotten the information that you've gotten. And another thing too, this will piss me off with you gaslighting ass bitches. Just because you and your fat ass, ugly ass, unattractive ass kids didn't experience what these other people experience on the show, don't necessarily mean the shit didn't happen. Because you had one black kid on the show talking about he was compared. Somebody called him and say he should be his complexion should be charcoal when he was playing the what was it, the fetus rapper. But he experienced racial situations on the set, so his shit ain't valid. All the other people that spoke of what they said is not valid because your fat ass, kids didn't experience what these other people experienced on the show. Eat a dick, bitch. So that's all I got to say on that. But anyway, so Celebrity says funny he reached out to him because he was getting attacked. Had the fans not attacked him, Josh probably wouldn't have never reached out. But I guess, I mean, maybe he was trying to smooth the blow, whatever the case was. I don't know. If them two are fighting or whatever the case is, hopefully they work it out. Maybe this is also Drake's way of trying to, put an olive branch out there and say that you know what? Me coming to your defense, maybe I'm trying to just bury the hatchet, let bygones be bygones, and that's that. Cause Drake, I mean, Josh out here, with his little subliminals on TikTok, and Drake like, I don't know what this motherfucker talking about. What you talking about? Maybe he gaslighting him. Who knows? But hopefully these two work it out. One go, y'all go, Drake go one way, Josh go another way, and we can move on. But like I said, just because you didn't experience what these other people didn't experience on the show doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't happen. This reminds me too much of that. And I understand we're not a monolith or whatever, but sometimes if stuff ain't happening to you, bitch, mind your business. But to me, I'm like, is this a reach? But this makes me think too much about, okay, so is this similar to like when Vivica Fox didn't come to the defense of, when she said, when Taraji was coming out saying what she was saying about the pay disparity and all that other stuff, and she was just like, well, that wasn't my experience. And people thought, well, maybe you should have stood in solidarity with your sisters, even if you didn't experience what she experienced. Maybe you should have stood in solidarity so that way, when y'all collectively, come together, she'll be able to get black women in Hollywood be treated better. So I'm wondering if that, I don't know, for some reason that kind of feels similar, but not really. I don't know. Well, maybe I'm just pulling analogies and things out of my behind. Maybe I'm just, but anyway. So now speaking of what we were talking about all the grooming and craziness that was going on over at Nickelodeon. Child, let's get into this next story, which alludes to possible grooming. So Aaron Taylor Johnson, the actor, very good looking man, huge penis. I don't know if y'all ain't seen the pictures, but they all over the internet. Y'all can look it up. Shit wasn't even hard, and it was huge. I'm like, girl, you about to wear somebody's cervix out. Or if you was in the gay man, they would definitely love you hitting their prostate with all that meat. But anyway, so Aaron Taylor Johnson, who I absolutely love. I like a lot of the movies he's in. I've loved him in Kick-Ass. The first one, second one, not so much. I also love Chloe Grace Moretz. I don't know what the hell happened to her, but she can come back. But anyway, he said to play Kraven the Hunter. I'm thinking that movie's gonna be trash. Like all them other Sony damn live action movies that we've seen. Like I told you, I don't like none of them shits that came out. I ain't like I ain't like any of the Sony multiverse, Spider-Verse, whatever you want to call it, films. But Kraven the Hunter, he looks good in it, but I have a feeling the movie's gonna be trash. But anyway, so there's also rumors going around. He's about to play the live act, about to play the Kraven the Hunter. But there's also rumors that came out earlier this week, and I didn't talk about it, but I'm gonna just put it in there real quick. There's rumors going around that he's going to be the new James Bond. I actually think that would be a good idea because he's young. They could have him play that character for the next 15 years, like they did Daniel Craig and so many others. I don't think they've ever played him that long, but Daniel Craig played that character for 15 years. 15 years. He was like 30 something when he started, and then was done with the character in his 50s. So he's addressing, because he's in the new issue of Rolling Stone UK. He is married to a woman by the name of Sam Taylor Johnson. She's a film director. Apparently, they have a 24-year age gap. So he's 33 and she pushing 60, which means when they got together, she was in her 40s and he was in his teens, meaning I think he was about 18, 19. And people out here saying that he was groomed. But he's addressing it. So, this story comes from page 6. It says, what you got to realize is that what most people were doing in their 20s, I was doing when I was 13. And this is what he told Rolling Stone UK in an interview that was published on Wednesday, which was yesterday, by the way. You're doing something too quickly for someone else. I don't understand that. What speed are you supposed to enjoy life at? It's bizarre to me. The Bullet Train actor, no, I forgot, he was a Bullet Train too. They had, what was it, Tangerine and Lemon? I actually liked him in that film. And then I said the Bullet Train actor, who's 33, met Sam, now 57, on the set of her 2009 film, Nowhere Boy. They tied the knot in 2012. The couple are parents to daughters Wilda, who's 13, and Romy Hero, who's 11. He also is a stepdad to her kids from a previous marriage to Jay Joplin, Angelica, who's 25, and Jesse, who's 15. Okay, so wait a minute. So he has a 15-year-old from a previous relationship, right? His firstborn is 13, which means I want to know this. Was she married to her ex when she was working on this film set with this boy? And then all of a sudden she saw him across, working with him on the movie set. And then all of a sudden they locked eyes and all of a sudden they became in a relationship. That's a little weird. But looking at his wife, she doesn't look that old, though. Like, she looks pretty good for 50, late 50s, pushing 60. But child, quiet as it's kept, she old enough to be his mama. Now, it's like Aaron, who described his wife as a great filmmaker and wonderful storyteller, admitted the ongoing criticism of their marriage was challenging. He says, there's a protectiveness that I feel. I think it's really difficult. There's also part of me that feels like if something didn't work, I'm the one that's responsible. People see me and perceive the thing around my career, and that's okay, but I'm just trying to juggle my family and my work. I'm doing normal life, dentist appointments. Career doesn't necessarily take a back seat, but it takes a different thought behind the choices that you make. He also reluctantly responded to criticism throughout the years, most recently telling Esquire that he has nothing to hide and is secure in his relationship, saying, I'm trying to be as honest as possible. I probably talked to you more about my kids and Sam than I have with anybody. I've got really nothing to hide and I'm secure in what we have, but I'm not going to unlock things that are actually precious to me. He went on and said, I knew I was going to have a big family. I knew I was going to be a young father. I knew what I was going to have many kids. Now, the question I have to ask is this. Do you think, because I noticed a lot of people like, oh, when you're 18 and you're 19 and you're 20 and you're 20, you don't know what you want out of life. You still got Similac on your breath. You being, and then the fact of the matter that you with this woman that's more mature for her age and has lived life and has done the things that you have yet to get to, because while you're about to enter your 40s, your 20s, not 40s, when you're about to enter your 20s and be an adult, she been there, done that. Like, she done transitioned through that period 20 years ago. Like, she hit her 20s 20 years ago because she in her 40s when you better. So now, I don't know, because I will say this also, that when I was that age, when I was like in my teens, I was way too mature for my age. Like, I was wise beyond my years. And there are people like that exist. But I don't know if I'm going at 19, 18, get married or whatever. But then again, if you look at people like my grandparents' age, like my grandmother is 89. And my great grandmother, she started having kids when she was 16. So the times was different back in those days. How come that was more acceptable then when it came to like the olden days, where it was like you had grandmothers and great grandmothers and great great grandmothers where they was getting married at like 14 and having kids at 16 and it was perfectly fine. But now in this day and age, I'm just asking, I'm not condoning it or agreeing or whatever. But how come in this day and age now it's like, oh, it's pedophilia, or it's this, or it's that, or this is wrong. You're being groomed, because that word groomed is being thrown around a little too loosely. I'm tired of people just using groom for every other fucking word. It's like, can we come up with something else? What is really groom? Grooming is like manipulating a child into doing something that they don't necessarily want to do. But if he's sitting there saying in the interview, that he was perfectly okay with, like, I knew at a certain age that I wanted to be married, that I wanted to have kids, that I wanted to be a family man, that I wanted to have a bunch of kids, then who are we to judge that? So if he's saying that's what it is, then you know what, whether we agree with it or not, and he's a consenting adult, because isn't 18 considered grown? Or an adult in a lot of spaces. I think even 16 is considered an adult in other spaces. So who are we to judge it, even if we don't agree with it? Is all I'm asking. So um funnily enough, this whole damn time I was running my mouth, I forgot to pull up this damn Rolling Stone cover. I was like, "Ooh, that man is fine." You know what? Shout out to I could definitely see why what Miss Mama's is ending. First of all, Aaron is got Hollywood good looks, very good looking man. Um, and he's a good actor. And after all these years, it seems like his career is finally, he's stepping into that leading man spotlight. Slowly but surely, he's getting up there. It's like it took, how long it's like it took Ryan Gosling so long to get to that point. Maybe he is because he already proved himself. He's like, I've done those small independent artsy fartsy movies similar to Aaron Taylor Johnson. So now I'm going from doing all these small parts. Now I'm ready to be a leading man. And speaking of Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's about to appear and Ryan Gosling. He's about to appear in Fall Guy with oh my god, I just forgot his name and I just said it. He's about to appear in Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling, which I just saw a new trailer for it yesterday and it looks really good. It's a lot of Speaking of which, there's a lot of trailers that's coming out that I'm actually excited about. I saw the what was it, the Alien Romulus trailer. Looks really good. That's supposed to be coming out in August. If you haven't seen that, definitely look that up online. They dropped 2 new House of the Dragon trailers today. There's a lot of really good movie trailers that's coming out that I'm excited for. So shout out to you, Aaron. Shout out to y'all in the movie business and all this other good stuff. And yeah. All right. So before we get into this Azealia Banks, T, let's get and do some positive stuff because we got a lot of Beyonce talk. We got, I think, 2 topics, technically 3. But before I get to the negative, let's get to the positive. So shout out to Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter, who is about to be honored with the iHeartRadio Innovator Award at the 2024 iHeartRadio Music Awards, which I believe will premiere on April 1st. Funny enough, y'all pick April Fools, especially with all them people y'all nominated. It's going to be on April 1st live from the Dolby Theater at 8 p.m. on Fox, if y'all care. And they said that people that are going to perform are Justin Timberlake, Green Day, TLC, Jelly Roll, Lainey Wilson, and Tate McRae. So they're the ones that's going to be performing. And I believe also, not only that, but I do believe that Cher is set to be nominated as well, or given like an award or something or another. I was trying to see if I could find. Oh yeah, I found it. It says she'll be honored with her unparalleled contributions to music and pop culture for over 7 decades. So Cher's gonna be she's gonna receive the year's icon award, and Beyonce is going to receive the innovator award. Now we'll see if Beyonce shows up. Hopefully she does, because even in this space that we're in now, Beyonce's still out here impacting the people and making a lot of money for a lot of people. So shout out to her for that. So I just wanted to put that out there, that's what's coming up. And then yesterday we posted this. We talked about Beyonce and the Cowboy Carter album cover and how I was living for it, and how in the beginning I wasn't really for this album. Like, country is not necessarily my zhuzh, but after showing the photos, especially when I'm gonna get into a minute, where Erykah Badu's trying to say that Beyonce was copying her. um we showed the 2 pictures and then we talked a bit about it. I was like, you know what? Now that she said it's not a country album per se, it's a Beyonce album, and she's incorporating all different genres and mixing genres and stuff that's in it, I'm actually curious to hear what this album is going to sound like. So I'm kind of excited, even though, like I said, country music isn't my zhuzh. Well, apparently it ain't Azalea's either, because she decided to go to social media and throw more daggers at Beyonce. So, shout out to Billboard for the story. It says the cover art for Beyonce's upcoming album, Cowboy Carter, has stirred up some interesting discussions, most recently and notably from Harlem rapper Azealia Banks. The opinionated MC took the Instagram stories on Tuesday to give us all a little lesson in cultural criticism. All right, daughter, what you had to say? She said, first, Banks takes aim at the album's title, writing, wow, we didn't even try to put even a little effort into a little more artistic title. Now, to be fair, we don't know what Beyonce is thinking as it pertains to the title. Some fans believe it's a play on words. Obviously, Carter is her last name through marriage to rapper businessman Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, but is also the last name of the family widely seen as the first family of country music, which I believe I was going to get to that because I saw this TikTok video of this girl who posted something about the first family of country music were named the Carters. And they had played, I think that was the banjo or something or another. So who knows? It could be a plethora of those things. And also the photo of her sitting sideways, going side saddle on a horse with the flag, which I remember Sailor Mermaid was saying yesterday, it would have been more fierce if she would have did the black people, the African American flag, or African. Well, is it African American? We would call it. I didn't even know we had a flag. I did not know black people had a flag, but apparently, like he was saying to me, he was like he didn't even know until 2 years ago. So it's like it would have been cool if she would have known that, but it was probably an oversight on her team, and she probably wasn't even thinking about that. So who knows? Maybe down the road, somebody bring it up to her in the comments. She'll bring the flag on the tour. She'll bring the flag in the music video, whatever the case is. So So she went and I like that whole the cow, her the outfit, the red, white, and blue, the chaps sitting on the flag, I mean sitting on the horse, that sort of thing. I did like that look because it kind of was like her paying homage to black cowboys and cowgirls. Or the black rodeo, which a lot of them exist down in Texas. I remember when I went down to Texas for my goddaughter's graduation, and when she was living there, and I went to a rodeo. Rodeos are prominent down there. So then Bank took issue with the cover overall instead of asking how you switch from baobab, trees, and black parade to this literal pick-me stuff, referring to the Grammy Award-winning single from The Lion King, the Gibbs soundtrack Beyonce executive produced back in 2019. It seems all the American imagery is too on the nose for Banks to dismiss the mark, as she accuses Beyonce of being in white woman cosplay and reinforcing a false rhetoric that country music is a post-Civil War white art form. Oh my God, I'm sick of this bitch. But anyway, let's continue. And subsequently reinforcing the idea that there is no racism, segregation, slavery, violence, theft, massacres, plagues, manifest destiny, craziness that form the bedrock of epithets like proud to be an American or God bless the USA. As if that weren't enough, Banks also brought up the 2016 CMA Awards performance Beyonce did with the Chicks, who used to be called the artist formerly known as the Dixie Chicks, writing, do you lame stuff you do lame stuff like bring out some blacklisted white woman at the Country Music Awards, and they would never ever do the same for you. Which I don't know if that's true because we did bring up yesterday that Natalie Maines defended Beyonce back when the Country Music Awards happened, and people were making her feel unwelcome, and there were people on social media that were upset that she was performing there. So um, I think if Azealia, you're gonna make these comments, and sometimes you be on it when it comes to your assessment of some people, but I just feel like you just don't know what the hell you're talking about in this whole situation. You're sitting here critiquing a photo. If you actually looked into history, you will understand like maybe what her reference points are. And Beyonce's not gonna sit up here and explain to you because she's looking at you like, bitch, who are you? Like she don't even explain something to her own damn fans. So what makes you think she won't come out and explain something to you about what's going on with her whole aesthetic or what she's coming forth with this album? She said what she needed to say in the damn Instagram post, which clearly you didn't read. And even though, like I said, she didn't even she didn't really mention the CMA award situation. But when you said this album was, created 5 years ago after a certain situation where you didn't feel welcome, child, we know math. I mean, we may not know calculus and the most difficult of math, unless your job requires it. But we do know that 2 + 2 is 4, and we're gonna add that shit up and we're gonna figure out the okay sis. So clearly you're referring to the CMAs that you didn't feel welcome, and people saw that you weren't welcome based off the posts and comments online. And like I said before, you don't need to go and pop off on social media or cuss people out in front of them. You get even by, you know what? I'm gonna show these hoes. I'm gonna go in the studio I'm gonna concoct this album and I'm gonna infiltrate these so-called colonized spaces that y'all try to act like y'all invented when y'all stole and colonized it. And we're gonna do what we're gonna do. And at the end of the day, to wrap this up, I just really wish that for once Azealia will focus on her own goddamn music instead of critiquing other people's shit before she even heard the album. Like, you don't even know what the album's gonna give. You don't even know what's gonna be on the record. You don't even know what the track list is. You don't know nothing about this record. You just go off a damn picture and just giving a critique nobody asked for. And it's just like, girl, what happened to your career? I guess when those who can't do criticize, they say those who can't do teach. But the bitch ain't even doing that. So she just gonna sit up here and criticize whatever everybody's doing. And it's like, sis, can you go back in the studio and work on something? Or every time she signed a record deal, she sabotaged the shit and they end up chopping it because nobody want to deal with her bipolar ass. So whatever, Azealia. Like, sometimes she like Candace Owens to me. Like, a broken clock could be right twice a day. And it's very rare that she actually come out and say something of value. And there have been times that she has said some stuff that I'm like, okay, you on point with that. But this, no. Okay, so we got some comments. Felix says, I was sick of her years ago. She made a career talking shit about people. Exactly. At least if you're gonna talk shit about it, about people, get paid for it. She ain't been doing that. You gotta go to your Instagram stories where your shit only lasts for 24 hours. And then, people screenshot it and then we write stories about it and then we talk about it. But it's the same old, it's like the definition of insanity. Do the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. No, no one knows her music. Child. She's the can. I didn't even see that comment, and it's funny how I compared her to Candace Owens, and here come Felix saying the same damn thing. Now, like I said before, she ain't the only one that's throwing shade at Azealia Banks and sticking her damn foot in her mouth. Let's talk about Erykah Badu. Now, I live for Erykah Badu. I love her music. I love how innovative she is with the music, blending of genres, her fashions. She stands in a class by herself. I always love me some Erykah Badu. First of all, Erykah Badu's music is, I love it live versus like on a CD because back when I was listening to Erykah Badu, they was making CDs. Now you can listen to it on your phone, which I do anyway on my iPhone. But Erykah Badu, when I was listening to her, I was like, yeah, she's an innovator in so many ways. But girl, you did not invent braids and beads in the hair. It's no shade, I'm just saying. So Erykah Badu is accusing Bey of copying her signature beaded bob hairdo without so much as a thank you, prompted Erykah to repost the image with a mockingly curious caption. Shortly after her criticism, she began to feel the stings of the hive and is asking for Bey's husband, Jay-Z, to intervene. Now, I'm gonna show y'all this picture because yesterday, um, I posted the picture of Erykah Badu. Where is it? Because I'm gonna say, because it wasn't popping up before. Now I got it. Sometimes you gotta go back and hit it. So anyway, I posted this picture yesterday of Beyonce half naked. Well, she is naked, not half naked. She's got a sash covering her body parts. And I see some little tight ass James Charles looking queen on social media talking about ain't she? Is it? Not ain't she? Now I'm trying to sound like I don't speak. I'm speaking Ebonics. Isn't she too old? Although sometimes when I when I feel a little lazy, I will speak. I'll take shortcuts with the dialogue. But she was like, "Isn't Beyonce?" He said, "Isn't Beyonce too old to be up here dressing naked or showing her body?" And had to bring Nicki Minaj in the conversation. I'm gonna say this like I said it before. Can y'all please keep Nicki's dick out your mouth? Why every time when it comes to people, y'all always want to use Nicki as a blueprint or a comparison when it's talking about other stuff? Well, y'all was talking about J Lo not selling tickets to her concert, but y'all say that about Nicki Minaj. What do Nicki got to do with the fucking conversation? Same thing with this. It's about she old and grandma and all the other stuff. That wasn't what people was coming at Nicki about. The whole thing with Nicki was her attitude and her behavior, how she too old to be doing that shit. When you in your 40s and you out here acting like a damn petulant child with your attitude and all that other ranting and raving. Same thing I say about Kanye. You too damn old to be doing that shit too. So we're not just gonna get on the women. But my thing with that is to kind of just bring that in because people want to compare, so let's compare. Now, Beyonce here, 42, right? 81, yeah, I think she's 42. She looks good. If you got that kind of body at your age, why am I going to be wrapped up in like dress as a damn nun? I'll be out here showing my body too. Shit. If I was Ricky Martin age, who's like what, about to be 51 in December, I'd be out here butt ass naked too. Like sometimes he be on Instagram. So, anyways, but let's get to the Erykah Badu thing. So, yeah, she had this look. Beyonce had the look with the braids and the beads and all the other stuff. And Erykah out here trying to say she trying to that bitch stole my look. In the words of remember that segment on Fashion Police with the dearly departed Joan Rivers, who I wish was still alive today because I would love to see how her comedic situation will work in this day and age. So Erykah Badu, neo soul songstress, analog girl, and a digital world fashion icon, can basically say and do whatever she wants at this point. Doesn't mean she should, but she can. And in one of her wild romps throughout the internet, she appeared upon a post for Beyonce's vinyl cover of her upcoming album, Act Two Cowboy Carter. The image featured Beyonce naked, save for a red, white, and blue sash bearing the family name Beyonce. But Badu took umbrage with Bey's hairstyle, long braids with colorful beads, which seemed to be too similar to a look she sported in the not so distant past. Badu reposted the Cowboy Carter image in her IG stories with the simple, shady caption of, Now, the fact that anyone would catch wind of that slight snuggled amid Badu's dozens of other stories, including promos for her own weed tray and an Instagram reel of a dog and shiny cowboy boots would be surprising were this just anyone. But this is the BeyHive. They can and will sniff out any negative Beyonce commentary, then hunt it down to the ends of the internet. Badu found this out the hard way. Boy, this ain't the first time she got dragged by the BeyHive. So I don't know why she acting surprised. Taken to social media site FKA Twitter. What's FKA Twitter? Anyway, to try and get Bey's husband Jay-Z to do something about all these damn bees, like she's Macaulay Culkin in my. That was funny though. I said to Jay-Z, say something, Jay. You gonna let this woman and these bees do this to me? This is what she said with a laughing emoji. So I guess is she not taking this seriously or she trying to be messy? Look, this is we already said that this is I already told her this ain't the first time Badu came for Beyonce, because remember during the Renaissance Act One era, when she was touring, she had those big shiny hats on. And then Badu said, I guess I'm everybody's stylist. And that's what she said in her stories. And the BeyHive dragged her in. They stung the shit out of her back then. Now, I guess she liked the feeling of getting stung because they got her again. And here's the thing. When it comes to this story, no shade, Erykah, but you made your bed, and now you need to lie comfortably in it. If you're going to go out here, you're going to make broad statements and accusations about shit when quiet as it's kept. There were people out here who were wearing beads and braids in their hair long before we even knew what a fucking Erykah Badu is or was. Shout out to Erykah Wright. That's her government name, by the way. Um, Look at me spilling tea. But but I was just sitting there like, how you out here talking about she stole your look when if you look at history, women from Africa were walking around with hair braided, beads in their hair. And if we want to talk about celebrities, before there was an Erykah Badu wearing braids and beads in their head, hello, do I need to invite Patrice Rushen, Stevie Wonder, and Rick James into the chat? Because they was out here wearing beads and braids in their hair long before we knew, like I said, what an Erykah Badu was. So if you're gonna come out here and make broad statements or try to make it about you because you want attention, I guess you was trying to bring attention to her weed tray since they mentioned it in the article, then I'm assuming that's why she said what she said. But sis, you're incorrect with this because you're not everybody's stylist. You didn't invent beads and braids in your hair. Like my sister used to walk around with beads and braids in her hair when we were kids growing up. So that was a look I always saw growing up in New York in the hood. We always saw little girls walking around with beads and braids. Like I said, my sister had that look. So you are not the first, and you certainly will not be the last to walk around with beads and braids in your head. Okay. Who child? The ghetto. Um, Azealia smart, but she be running her mouth before she do and that part. And she needs to. And that's a wide ass fucking mouth. And you would think with all that mouth she got, she would at least take the time to do some research and read. What's her damn sign? Is she a Gemini? Bitch, I know she half-ass crazy. But like Beyonce was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Exactly. Country is part of the Southern culture. And I've been down to Texas, so I know exactly how it is down there. So did you see the video of Kanye and Bianca going to the cheese factory and Bianca was basically just wearing a strap? And look, I find it, no, I didn't see that, but I find it funny that a lot of women, y'all be out here bitching and complaining about, and then want to make videos about a man taking y'all ass to the Cheesecake Factory, right? What's wrong with the Cheesecake Factory? They got some good ass food up in there. But look at Kanye taking Bianca, his little arm candy to the Cheesecake Factory. They not complaining. So you got the rich going to the Cheesecake Factory, but yet and still, y'all mad, you regulars, you commoners are mad over your man taking you or a date that you just met that day is taking you to the Cheesecake Factory. The fuck's wrong with that? At least he ain't taking you to Wendy's and McDonald's, and there I'd be offended. I'm like, if you strapped for cash, you want to take me somewhere cute, like I don't care. I like food, so you could take me to BBQs. Shit, you could. I was gonna say take me to Applebee's, but I don't like Applebee's. I don't like they food. I don't like they food. I don't like what's that fake Italian one too? Olive Garden. I don't like they shit either. Now, if you took me to Chipotle, I'm gonna take that burrito and slap the shit out of you with it. But that's just me. Okay, so all right, so now we done with the whole Erykah situation. Erykah, you dead wrong for that, and you sounded like the one and only fool. All right, so let's get into the next topic and talk about my girl Wendy Williams. How you doing? So we getting more tea about what's going on with her and this whole Wells Fargo situation. But child, they up in there taking her coins out, even though it's sealed up. Wells Fargo, somebody going in there and sticking their hand in the Wells Fargo cookie jar and taking out Wendy coin, and they don't even know how much money she got up in there. But before they sealed it up, she had 50 million. Is what they saying. So shout out to Radar Online for this. It said Wendy Williams had an 8-figure fortune stashed away in various Wells Fargo bank accounts. They said several. But you should have mixed that up. I wouldn't have put on, quiet as it's kept, I wouldn't have put all my damn coins in no damn Wells Fargo. I'm mixing it up. I'm putting it in the MCU. I'm putting it in Citibank. I'm putting it in Chase. I'm putting it in all the different banks. I'm not putting all of my money in one bank. Like you out your damn mind. You got to always shake it up. Because because what I had to learn, because I'll even admit it, I do have a Wells Fargo bank account, but I've come to realize that the only way you can get to certain Wells Fargos, you got to live in a certain area. Because when I lived in LA, Wells Fargo is everywhere. And that was the reason why I signed up for Wells Fargo. That, and also I was in the circus, and the closest bank that we had that was, when I was in the circus, the Big Apple Circus, was Wells Fargo. And that was I had no choice. It was no other bank. Otherwise, I'd have to figure out a way to cash the money that I was getting that was coming in. And I was getting paid weekly, and I was getting paid good coin. So it was no way in hell that I was just going to go with it. And I didn't know this shit about Wells Fargo until now. Well, until past couple of years when I started hearing them stories. But that's a whole other topic for another day. So it said the 59-year-old former talk show host had accumulated a treasure chest worth between 40 to 50 million spread out in more than a dozen accounts held by the bank. This is what a source is telling Radar Online. It is unknown how much of the cash is left since Wells Fargo successfully filed a petition in the New York Supreme Court to place Wendy in a temporary financial guardianship, claiming she was potentially a victim of undue influence and financial exploitation. The insider told RadarOnline.com that Wendy's life is now controlled by a cadre of lawyers, court evaluators, and specialists who are all chipping away at her fortune, saying, "You have now 5 attorneys who Wendy did not select and who Wendy has nothing to do with that are all getting paid out of Wendy's finances." First of all, why do you need so many goddamn attorneys that are getting paid off of the many accounts? If I'm going to have an attorney, I need at least, like, you can give me 1 or maybe 2, not 5. Like, that's seems too much. And how much they charging? That's what I need to know. It said Wendy's private life and struggles recently exploded onto the national spotlight when her court-appointed guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, filed a lawsuit to prevent the airing of a disturbing Lifetime documentary, Where is Wendy Williams? The documentary shamelessly showed the beloved star in the confusing throes of dementia. Even though Morrissey was in financial control of Wendy's life, she questioned the validity of the $400K contract the media mogul allegedly signed with Lifetime parent company A&E Networks Television, LLC. Wendy allegedly signed an 18-page contract in early 2023, shortly after she was diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, a crippling ailment that ended the film career of action hero Bruce Willis, who had a birthday the other day. So happy birthday to him. And sidebar, shout out to his daughter Tallulah, who just came out as autistic. She did reveal that she has autism. Marcy claimed the gospel queen didn't know what she was signing and would not have wanted the world to see her disoriented, under the influence, and in an obviously disabled state. Well, that is true because I said that she wouldn't have agreed to all of that mess. But somebody had to have coerced her into signing it. And I truly believe it was her manager, Will Selby, because we have seen, if you pay attention to a lot of stuff in the past, Will Selby was always at the helm. Oh, yeah, we're talking about podcasts and we're doing this and we're doing that. She kept repeating that like it was a mantra or something that was embedded in her brain by clearly someone in her situation. And the only one who has access to Wendy, from what we saw, besides the camera people, was Will Selby and that other broad. The what was it? The who was she? I forgot. The publicist who her niece Alex didn't like. So I'm sitting there thinking Will had something to do with her signing that. So LaShawn Thomas, who worked as Wendy's lawyer from 2017 until she was kicked to the curb by a New York judge, has repeatedly questioned the actions of Wells Fargo and the judicial system surrounding the embattled star with money-sucking attorneys and lackeys. I find it curious that the court-appointed guardian keeps her family away from Wendy. This is what Thomas told Radar Online, referring to the documentary. But then Morrissey allows a manager and a publicist to be around her, so they are getting paid money from Wendy's accounts. The insider also raised questions over Wendy being hit with a $568,000 federal tax lien. There was a tax lien on Wendy's property, so what the heck is the Guardian doing? Exactly. The insider told RadarOnline.com. Where is the account and why aren't they doing their job? Now, in the past, it says Wells Fargo has repeatedly denied all allegations of wrongdoing, claiming the financial well-being of our clients is at the heart of what we do. Well, first of all, I think Sabrina Morrissey is full of shit. I believe she's got a lot to do with this stuff, and she's trying to act like she's innocent and don't want to look a certain way, because after this docuseries came out, I was side-eyeing her role too. I'm like, okay, so what is the point of her then, that you are unaware of where Wendy's whereabouts is? You're unaware of her signing contracts or her agreeing to do things, when I could have sworn, like, isn't it like she has to get permission from the court-appointed guardian to even be filming something? So she had to be aware of it. So I just do not believe that Sabrina is 1,000% innocent in this situation. I think she's just as guilty as, Will Selby and the publicist, who are no longer working for her, by the way. So I'm not buying it. And what I want to know is that, yeah, what is the point of having this court appointed person if you're not going to be doing your job? And then on top of that, how is it that there's nobody there to handle her, paying her taxes? If she's not able to have access to her money and be able to do what she wants with her own money, aren't you supposed to be doing her taxes or making sure that the accountant does what they need to do to be making sure that, her I's is dotted, her T's is crossed, so that way she doesn't be going broke or whatever the case is? But it seems like, a lot of times you can't be trusting these people that's up in here, because y'all come in, y'all being greedy, y'all doing all these weird shit, and then when the woman's broke, then y'all, I don't know what happened. But Wells Fargo, if y'all out here stealing that lady money and got people employed, ain't no good gonna come to y'all till y'all do right by Miss Wendy Williams and, her Quintadas. Now, speaking of Wendy Williams, let's get into this tea about her son, who apparently about to be evicted from his house, from his apartment, because he's going through some things too. So word on the street is that Wendy's only son, Kevin Hunter Jr., who opened up in a Lifetime docuseries about being cut off from his mother's money after she was placed in guardianship, was served with an eviction notice on his posh apartment back in February. Now, the son of Wendy Williams, ex Kevin Hunter, owes his building more than $317.08 in back rent, states the filing submitted at the end of February. The court documents obtained by Page Six also includes a copy of Kevin Jr.'s lease, which began on September 15th, 2023, and shows the club promoter he's a club promoter, was obligated to pay $3,713 per month in rent after paying more than $7,000 in us for a security deposit. Now, here's the thing: if he's actually a club promoter, ain't there a lot of parties going down in Miami? Why he not? I would be using my parents' name or whatever for all any kind of clout, just so that way, because like Wendy Williams' son, Kevin Jr., promoting or hosting a party or whatever the case is, you need to use your mother's name or whatever the case is. A lot of celebrities do it to get you some money so that way you can pay your bills and pay your rent. So subsequent court documents filed on March 5th show that the case against Jr., who's 23, has been dismissed, so it appears he settled the debt. A rep for Kevin Jr. didn't immediately return Page Six's request for comment. The U.S. Sun was first to report on the news of the eviction notice. Well, it's probably because the Sun always get all the Wendy Williams tea. And now this ain't the first time that he been facing eviction, because he previously faced an eviction from his former $2 million Miami apartment in 2022 after failing to pay $70,000 in rent. The complaint obtained by Page Six at the time showed Williams had paid $100,000 up front for the first year of her son's apartment. I remember her talking about that too. That she mentioned that she had paid a lot. She dropped a lot of beans on Lil Cab's apartment. But I'm like, what the hell would a 20-something-year-old be doing with a $1 million apartment? But then again, why would I be asking that question? I'm sure that there are parents out here, celebrity parents, who pay way more for their kids' apartment and put them up while they go to college or do whatever the case is. So when ain't the first or the last person to drop a bag, a huge bag, on a lush apartment for their kid. But it says that he worked it out. He paid the money or whatever the case is, but he got an eviction notice. But look, I know times is hard. I don't know how he getting his money, because like he said, he has no access to his mother's money. But if he was able to work it out, then that's great. But child, you need to your business getting out here in these streets when it comes to the situation between you and your bills, and the lack of you paying them. But like I said, if you out here promoting parties or whatever, you better get on it. Summer's coming. Well, spring is actually coming. Spring got to come before the summer, right? So spring right around the corner. I think spring is what? Is it today? Tomorrow? I don't remember. Spring hard to get here. It's cold in New York, but a little too damn cold. I'm tired of it. I hate cold weather. But maybe I need to move to a warmer climate. But I tried moving to a warmer climate. I didn't like it. Like, I lived in LA, which is too phony for me. I already said, for me, I would have to be the type that would have to live back and forth. Like, I would need a place in New York, a place in LA, and if ever I need to for work, I could jump on a plane and go out to LA. I have a place out there that I could stay at. And then vice versa in New York. I won't have to worry about packing a bag. I won't have to worry about doing all kinds of stuff. I could just jump on the plane and go. It don't take long to get to LA. It's like a 6-hour flight. And that's that. Get to LAX, get in an Uber, and do what I do. So good luck to you, Mr. Lil Cab. Now, speaking of people in financial woes and all that other stuff, let's get into Blanket, who's out here going at, it was in war with his grandmother, Katherine Jackson, who's 93 years old. She look good. But anyway, so Michael Jackson's son, Blanket B.G. Jackson, has filed legal papers seeking to block his grandmother, Katherine, from using estate funds amid an extended legal battle with the estate executors. Now, I had to read a couple of articles, because there was one that I read. I was so confused. I'm like, why is he going after her? Like, they didn't really explain it. But shout out to Vibe, because it'll always be Vibe magazine to me. I guess now they on the internet. They really broke it down and explained it, why he's going after her. It's got to do with his musical catalog. Michael's, not Blinkers. We don't know if he makes music, but I know he's a up and coming film. He's a fledgling filmmaker. I should point that out. Blanket is asking the court to bar the matriarch from accessing using his father's estate money to fund a previous court appeal. The outlet documented that Blanket and his grandma's relationship was smooth throughout this lengthy court battle. Both Jacksons opposed the executives of Jackson's estate for selling off a huge chunk of MJ's catalog. According to Radar Online, Katherine previously told the court that her son never wanted his catalog to be sold. She recalled Mike referring to his music as his lifeline. Well, I'm sure that, look, and I'm about to throw a little shade. I live for Michael Jackson. But look, I'm sure that's how Paul McCartney and them felt when you went and snatched up that damn Beatles catalog and made all that money off of him when Paul McCartney was trying to buy his own catalog and Michael slithered his way up in there and pulled the Virgo move, because that's the same move I would have did. I'm like, it's not shade, it's business. And went up in there and made a shit ton of money off the Beatles catalog. I don't know if they still own it or he sold it or whatever the case, or it was sold. But I do remember like Paul McCartney never forgave him for that. But both Blanket and Katherine presented their arguments to the court opposing any transaction regarding the King of Pop's music. The court ultimately decided against them and ended the legal battle. But Katherine decided to appeal the ruling and wanted to use her son's estate money to pay for the legal bills. Blanket, heir to the MJ estate, staunchly opposed her decision and filed an injunction against her. Um, it says Justia defines an injunction as a writ of order or order requiring a person to refrain from a particular act. It may be granted by the court in which the action is brought or by a judge thereof, and when granted by a judge, it may be enforced as an order of the court. So the youngest of Michael's kids doesn't want the inheritance bled dry by legal transactions. The move may also be motivated by Blanket discovering that Katherine receives a hefty seven-figure allowance. It also appears that Blanket would rather have his grandma dip into her bag to handle her legal woes than his inheritance. And you want to know something? I'm not mad at Blanket over this. Like, Nana. You need to take your ass over and dip into your funds. Why are you over here digging into my stuff and my brother and sister's money because you don't like what they're doing with the money over here, or the fact that they're using the Michael Jackson catalog, which is going to appear in that new Michael movie that they're making with Antoine Fuqua? Why are you against that? First of all, yeah, Blanket and them may have their inheritance, but at some point, I could totally see why his music catalog is being sold off to all these other places. Because quiet as it's kept, that money ain't gonna remain the same forever. So I'm not mad. Like if Michael was alive, then he could have a say so over what he wants to do with his money, and if the kids, have a say so in what can happen with the his music or whatever the case is, then it's up to Blanket, Prince, and Paris to come up with that conclusion. Sidebar, I do wonder how Prince and Paris feel about this. I know like recently Blanket celebrated his 22nd birthday and Prince gave him a shout out and all that other stuff. But look, the sale value of his music assets are somewhere above $1.2 billion. And Sony is said to pay $600 million for its share of Jackson's publishing and masters. So they got to keep that money coming in. Quiet as it's kept, none of them other Jacksons is working outside of Janet and bringing in some sort of income for themselves. So y'all need Michael's, money and all this other stuff to do what needs to be done. And at 93, no shade, but Katherine on borrowed time, and she already got 1.5 foot in the grave. So, like I said, it's no shade, but it's business, and I'm team Blanket on this. It's like, no, you are not using my inheritance because you don't like the way that the judge ruled or the way that things are going. And if it's going to cause a wedge in my relationship because you over here trying to fight over my father's money, then so be it. There have been many relatives I've chopped in my personal life. I haven't got the Michael money. But when it came down to things, when it comes to, relatives or whatever, it's like, okay, bitch, I'll cut you off then. Like, if it's going to be like that, if you're going to take it personal or whatever the case is, like, no, dip into your own funds to pay up your legal fees. Sis. That's all I got to say on that. But we're just going through these topics relatively quickly. I think I got like, how many? 5 more topics left. So we halfway through the show already, and we're already an hour in. Okay, so let's go in and talk about the challenge. Like, I don't know if y'all watch the challenge, but that's like one of my favorite sports competition reality shows on MTV. I know they have the new All-Star season, which I'm looking forward to because we got Veronica's gonna be on there, Rachel's gonna be in there. Remember when they used to date? They got them coming back. Ayana, a bunch of them, like all the people that I grew up with watching on the challenge is gonna be in the All-Star. So I'm really excited for that. It's gonna be on Paramount Plus, which I'm hearing that there's a big bidding war over Paramount Plus. I'll have to bring that up on another episode, but I've been hearing rumblings that they trying to sell Paramount Plus because they need a little help in the financial department, or I guess creativity department. But anyway, so I love the challenge. I also like the original challenge that comes on MTV. I didn't particularly care for the one last season because y'all ain't had like the big celebrities the big stars and stuff on there. Y'all had like, okay, I mean, besides Horacio, who is fine as hell, y'all had a bunch of regular schmegglers, like y'all had Jay Corny ass and the rest of them on there. But anyway, so Nelson, who is a staple, I would guess we could call him because they always talk about vets and the newbies and stuff. He is a vet from the challenge. And I don't know if y'all heard, but he got into a severe car accident where his car burned. It caught fire, and he had an Audi A4 because he slammed into a bridge in Austin, Texas. He was also shit-faced drunk. The car burst into flames, and luckily, Minnesota Vikings wide receiver KJ Osborne and three other bystanders happened to be there, and they pulled him out from the burning vehicle. Nelson's 35, by the way. Now, his actions from what had happened caused him to have his foot amputated. So it got amputated, I believe, earlier this month. Now, according to the story, it's saying something or another about how he felt like MTV turned their and Bunim Murray Productions turned their back on him following his March 2023 near fatal car accident, which, like I said, resulted in the 35-year-old being arrested. Oh, I didn't talk about that. So he was arrested and charged with driving while intoxicated, but it also caused him to lose his foot, his right foot. Now, it said police officers reported to the scene said in court documents that they noticed Nelson had bloodshot, glassy eyes. They also said he later admitted to consuming 2 to 3 mixed alcoholic drinks before the crash. He was later placed under police custody at the hospital after reportedly failing a field sobriety test. However, he was released once it determined that the treatment for his injuries could take longer than expected, which is according to the court documents. Several months later, the influencer was arrested and officially charged with a DUI and subsequently obtained search warrant for the toxicology results, I should say, getting tongue-tied, revealed at the time of the crash, he had a blood alcohol content of 0.178%, according to reports. He was soon released after posting bond. Now, during a recent live stream with fellow MTV reality TV star Nani Gonzalez, who is she still engaged to Casey? That was on who was also on the challenge, but also was on what else? She was on the challenge and she was on Big Brother, along with Fessel and Josh. Josh, dramatic ass. But anyway, so he did a thing with Nani, and she asked him, has MTV and Bunim Murray Productions helped at all with the insurance money? And I have the clip. So we're gonna play it here. Please hold. It was on the TikTok.
As far as like the insurance, did VMP help you out at all or no?
I think
You don't have to say.
they didn't.
They didn't. Oh, okay.
They did not. And I didn't. What I expected from MTV is to reach out to me and say, "Hey, how can we help you?" But when the whole DWI came out, a lot of people turned their back on me, and it sucked because at that point in my life, I was still fighting for my life in the hospital, Nani, and my lawyer was legally saying, "Look, Nelson, I know you want to come out and say this, but you can't legally say this because you're still fighting in court." So it really hurt me, man. That's when I was turning to social media for motivation and to uplift me. Mm-hmm. And then when that came out, everyone just turned their back on me. I was like, I'm supposed to be this perfect guy. I can't make mistakes. And that hurt me the most, Like that really, really hurt me. And
as far as like the insurance did.
Okay. So, I feel like I'll say this. I feel for Nelson and everything that he went through and endured and stuff, but sir, this was self-inflicted. You brought this upon yourself. Like you're in your mid-30s, give or take, and early to mid-30s, I'll say. Nobody put a gun in your head and told you to get behind behind the wheel of a car, shit-faced drunk, and put yourself and potentially other people at risk. So now you're looking for MTV to come to your aid, and help you out financially when you brought this upon yourself. Like I can understand if you were on MTV's dime, if you were doing a reality show with them And because if you watch the challenge, they do drink on that show. They get shit faced drunk, they out partying. There's always incorporating the episodes. I think I'm trying to remember if it's always before, the day before the challenge, they go out to the club, they party, all this other stuff. Sometimes the cast members be plotting, little schemes of things, or there's always drama, whatever the case is, or they hooking up with somebody. So there's always something that transpires. And then the next day they go and they get ready for the challenge. So you should know your limits and stuff. I don't think that MTV will be up in there like pumping alcohol down your throat. Well, I think they used to really go in and let have back in the day, but we talking about now. So it's different if you were on a property and it was like you were shit-faced drunk, and then right after you had to go right into a challenge and you put yourself at risk to the point where your foot was amputated because MTV put you in that predicament. Or if you were doing a certain challenge and you hurt yourself and you broke your back, you broke your neck, you ended up paralyzed, that sort of thing. Then, okay, MTV, you can take their ass to court, look for them to help out with insurance, whatever the case is. That I understand. But you did this on your own time and your own dime. And you need to pay the consequence. What does MTV have to do with this? This is not them. This is not on them. This is on you. And he's talking about, I was looking to social media for motivation, and I was looking at this for this. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Why are you even looking to the internet? It's like, I'm just going to take pictures and show my foot, and I'm going to smile, and I'm going to do this and show like everything is okay. And I'm going to act all, phony baloney or whatever, and put these things up because I want sympathy and empathy from people. When it's like, are you even being real right now? Like, to me, it's like you're using your situation for clout. And I don't want to kind of go there and make it seem like I'm being unsympathetic. But to me, the way it's coming across is just sort of like you trying to use this for some sort of thing. Now, what I hope happens down the road is that, you get fitted for a prosthetic, you start training and getting physical again and all this other stuff, and work on how to make that work to your advantage. I mean, who knows? You can come on the challenge, with 1.5 leg or foot, with your fake foot, you can start running around and doing challenges and stuff with your bionic foot. We've seen athletes out here doing it with where they running track and all this other stuff with a prosthetic leg and all this other stuff. So it'd be nice to see if Nelson could possibly make a comeback and come on a challenge, but just with this new situation. You could talk about it and incorporate it in your storyline or whatever the case is. So make them lemons in the lemonade. But as far as that video that I showed y'all, MTV is not obligated to have to help you with anything when you didn't do that on a dime. Now, if they posted something like condolences or, my heart goes out to him on their Instagram or whatever the case is, that I understand. But they don't owe you insurance or any kind of payout or whatever. So I don't get that. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all I gotta say on that. All right, so let's get into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Because one of them's out of a job. And thank the Lord. Couldn't stand Annemarie ass, fake ass broad. So the universe, heard my prayers, because we did talk about this the other day. I was like, look, when we talked about the Housewives, I said, please let Annemarie have a one and done season. I need her to be the Diana Jenkins of this season. And Lord Jesus, she is. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So after one season of giving us absolutely nothing except obsessing over Sutton Strack's esophagus, Annemarie Wiley would not be returning to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So the nurse anesthesiologist confirmed on social media that Bravo was not asking her back to the reality series as production for season 14 gets ready to start filming. I heard that season 14 is starting to film around April. So they're getting back to business real quick, which is, I'm not surprised because so much stuff has happened, especially with Kyle and Mauricio. And then now Kyle and Dorit are not getting along. And then, Erykah with her residency, which I saw that the Bet on Blonde little series that she had where they were filming her putting it together. That's on Paramount. No, that's on Peacock. I don't know if it aired on Bravo because, like I said, I don't have regular TV, but I get all my Bravo stuff in Peacock. So I know that's up. Speaking of which, I need to catch up on the last 2 episodes of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That, and I also, there's so many things I need to catch up with. It's not even funny. But anyway, she says, I'm disappointed is an understatement. This is what she said in a statement shared on Instagram. I never auditioned for this show. The show found me and asked me to be on it out of the blue 6 weeks after the cast had already started filming. I was thrown into filming 2 weeks later, mid-season. She concluded by saying, I was very excited about the opportunity, and I thought following exactly What I was instructed to do throughout filming last season was the way the game was played. Wiley noted that her rookie mistake was doing what she was instructed to do. Her major storyline of the season was questioning co-star Sutton Strack regarding her esophagus. That's why I made that comment earlier. Because if you know, you know. The former pro athlete said that she finds it disappointing, saying, fans never got to see the real me or even a glimpse of my unique life story. Contrary to what was shown on TV, I am not obsessed with the esophagus. LOL. What I am as a woman, a proud Black woman who is truly blessed with a wonderful, strong Black man as my husband, who lifts me and my 4 wonderful children up with so much love and positivity on a daily basis. It was an important mission of mine for the next season to show a solid Black family unit and that true Black love exists even in Beverly Hills. Here's the thing, because we discovered this when we were watching the show. Her mother, you know, passed away from lung cancer weeks in recording the episode. There was also some stuff about her struggle with adoption trauma and what was going to be, and still will be a new life journey for her to find her biological parents. Why didn't all of that play into the show? Also, she was sitting up in here talking about true Black love and all this other stuff. Yeah, that's great and all, but honey, I don't know if y'all heard the tea, but isn't her husband being accused of assaulting a woman sexually? I think it was back in the 90s. Like, there was a story that came out about that. Plus, I'm hearing that they're anti-trans, possible Trump supporters. Like, there's been a lot of stories that were floating around about Annemarie and her husband long before they became, people found out they were going to be part of the show. I remember hearing this stuff. So my thing is, it's great that you can be like, oh, I was hoping that I could bring all this into. Oh yeah, so it said that Wiley's husband, Marcellus Wiley, was accused of sexual assault and rape while at Columbia in 1994. So there that is. And yeah, she posted on Instagram, and I seen when I posted on my social media, when I did the article, some people liked it and shared it, was like hallelujah and yay. And I agree. It's like I didn't like her. And it wasn't just about the whole Sutton thing, it was just her overall energy, demeanor, and attitude. I just didn't it was just something about Annemarie that rubbed me the wrong way. So her, or Annemarie, as she's like to say, because I think she said it's Dutch or Swedish or whatever the case is. So pretty woman, you know, if you and all, but she's just not fit for the show. Now, in regards of who I think should come back, since we're on the subject, now that we got one fired, I honestly think they need to fire Dorit, but they'll probably bring her boring ass back. And I think, like I said, when I talked about Dorit and Kyle for that first the part 1 of the reunion, I feel like what they're going to do is Dorit found her ace in the hole. Like, yeah, her storyline is done. She is interested to come on the show because she's so goddamn clueless. We can't never figure out what her actual accent is. Like, is she British? Is she from America? She speaks fluent Spanish. She always has to show, she always has to be a show out when it comes to, you know, her educational background and stuff. It's like, okay, sis, we get it. Like, you always come across as a show off in her relationship. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we'll see this whole relationship with PK play out because she said that they were almost on the brink of splitting up right along with Kyle and Mauricio. Why we didn't see that on this season? Why we just now hearing about it at the reunion? So there was that. Plus, so I don't know. I guess, she found her, like I said, Dorit found her ace in the hole by, okay, so her and Kyle aren't friends. They'll try to see, like, let's see how that plays out in the new season because y'all relationship is not as strong as it once was. Kyle, of course, ain't going nowhere, but I'm sure that what they're going to do is she's going to use her and Morgan Wade. That'll be her coming out party next season. So I do think Kyle is about to pull a Niecy Nash and come out as a new lesbian, a new age lesbian. I'm not going to say she a full-fledged lesbian because she got kids and she was married to Mauricio for a long time and those other stuff. But I do think like she's finding comfort in the arms of a woman, like Niecy has, and later on in life. Erykah Jane, I know ain't going nowhere. Definitely bring her back. She definitely brought this season. I love Garcelle and Sutton and their whole chemistry and everything they do together. Crystal is finally, after how many seasons she been on? Like 3 seasons? She finally coming out her damn show. I'm like, girl, it took you long. I'm like, you real slow coming out of this damn show. But I kind of like Crystal. And I love Crystal stepping up this season and calling Annemarie a bitch. So I live for her. She finally stepping out her comfort zone and she really bringing it. And I like Crystal. So I hope Crystal comes back. I would love for them to do like they've been doing with the season. Like weave out women from the past into the show. Bring on Camille every now and again. Bring in, I guess you could bring in Kathy, but I don't particularly care for Kathy. You could bring in Kathy Griffin, Kathy Hilton every now and again. You could bring in, I don't want Lisa Rinna back. I can't take her. But and I don't think her husband wants her to come back the way he been talking. So and bring Denise Richards in every now and again. You know, I like when they've been bringing Denise in and throwing a little shade every now and again. So that's why I want to come out. I don't know if they would want to try anybody new, but it just, to me, it just seems like, you know, you could keep the core women as what they are now, but you could bring in other women, and even bring in Cynthia Bailey. Cynthia Bailey's been making appearances on the show. Like, you could bring her in and out and have her do stuff. So if y'all looking for another black girl to bring on, there's your girl. Okay, so let's move on and let's talk about, speaking of relationship, let's talk about Lucas Gage. And you know, the tea about him and all this other stuff that just came out recently. He's opening up about his marriage to well, as much as he could, to Chris Appleton, because he alluded in the situation when he spoke with Andy Cohen that he may have signed some sort of an NDA. He also threw shade at Chris Appleton over that blonde hairdo that he had. He said he never did his hair like, so he basically implied that, I think he was trying to say, in so many ways he was in a controlling relationship, that Chris was the one that had to win them ugly ass black fur Chewbacca looking coats, as Kim Kardashian, who Chris does her hair, she officiated the ceremony. He also said that she paid for everything. So she flew them out, you know, and all that. But you know, and Andy threw shade, but it was some good shade and right shade. Where he was like, "Oh, it's a film for her reality show." So it was like, yeah, to get her on the reality show, of course, she's gonna pay for every damn thing, so that way she could film it and put it on. And it's funny, like, as the day before the episode aired, they were filing for divorce. So Gage opened up to host Andy Cohen about the manic episode he was experiencing when he tied the knot and alluded to signing an NDA. This is what Us Weekly is reporting. Manic, absolutely manic, the 28-year-old said. Those jackets, those furry jackets, he continued in reference to the former couple's wedding attire. This is the one I was saying, look like, you know, something up Chewbacca wouldn't, you know, look like that old Chewbacca fur. Cohen then reminded the audience that the pair wore fur coats that when they wed in a ceremony officiated by Kim Kardashian, Appleton's longtime client and friend. What happened to me? Gage asked. I don't know. Literally what went through my head, but we live and learn. Gage and Appleton started a flurry of speculation about their romance at the beginning of last year before getting hitched in April 2023. The wedding was held at a chapel in Las Vegas, and Shania Twain sang her hit love song, You're Still the One, during the ceremony. Just a few months later, on November 10, 2023, Appleton filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences just after the wedding aired on The Kardashians. Although rumors of infidelity spread after their marriage was announced, Gage assured the Bravo host that no cheating occurred, but then alluded to signing a non-disclosure agreement, saying there's a 3-letter thing that I signed. I believe the 5th. So if he can't sit and say nothing, then clearly there was some stuff that was going on. And he said that the real reason the marriage ended was due to his impulsive nature and mania, saying, that's kind of how I roll. I'm a little impulsive. You know me, he said. But that was probably one of the most unhinged things I've ever done in my entire life. And I'll probably have 6 other marriages. Now, while Gage might not be able to speak freely about the couple's breakup, he didn't hold back on Appleton's hair skill. Now, during the after show, Cohen asked if Appleton dyed his hair during the marriage. He said, I will say, while that was happening, I have never had my hair look like that before. When Cohen asked if he meant he never looked better, Gage clarified, no, never looked worse. So he threw a little dagger, or whatever the case is. And you know what? At the end of the day, this is why I say to people, y'all need to really take time to get to know people before y'all walk down that aisle and y'all get married. So I guess with Chris, based off of what he was saying but not really saying, and what I was getting from the body language and Andy prying and really getting up in there and getting the tea, Chris comes to me as controlling, which makes sense because Chris is in his 40s and he's older. Lucas is young, impulsive, a wild child, somebody who just does things, you know, off a whim. He's not like, I guess, like me. I'm a Virgo. I think before I do everything, I'm weighing all the pros and cons before I take that step. It may look like it's impulsive, but trust and believe, I went through the pros and the cons, the list on both sides of my head before I take that plunge. And if the mistake happens, it happens. We live and we learn. If it works well, it works well. But I'm thinking with his manic behavior and all that other stuff, Chris didn't particularly gel well with that. He's probably a planner. He's probably someone that likes to have everything planned out and controlled or whatever the case is. And he wasn't interested and he couldn't deal with that. So I think there was some cheating going on. I truly do. I truly believe like Chris is probably going working or whatever, doing things. And of course, Lucas being an actor, he's traveling and stuff. So I'm sure there's temptation or whatever the case is going on out there. So who knows who was the one that was cheating? But I do think infidelity was involved. And Lucas being so damn young, you really think he's going to settle down with the same bussy and ding-a-ling for the rest of his damn life? No. I think a lot of times I just wish people would be more real about situations, especially when it comes to gay relationships, and realize that we're not meant to be in no monogamous type thing. Heteronormative stuff that works for the straights, or quiet as it's kept, but ain't even working for them either. So I don't see why we don't just kind of do the things that we need to do without trying to conform to other things so that way in the eyes of the heterosexuals, our relationship is going to work for them so they can leave us alone. We can get the gay marriage, we can get the insurance, we can get the benefits, we can get all that stuff. It's like, yo, whatever works for you works for you. And I've been saying from the beginning, I said, child, the minute I heard about them two dating and they was getting married, I was like, this shit ain't going to last. I didn't know it was going to be chopped within a 6-month period, but I was like, this marriage is not going to last. First of all, that's too fast for anybody. And it's like, I'm sorry, but 60 days before you get married, that's not even enough time to get to know someone. How many times Pamela Anderson been impulsively married to men and that shit ain't work out? She's been married like 4 or 5 times. So clearly, you need to learn from your elders and realize that, you know what? Sometimes marriage ain't for everybody, or you need to really take your time to get to. But look, Lucas also said it's going to take him, like, he may end up in 6 more marriages. So just know anybody who get with that boy, he's the impulsive type. So he's gonna be like, 5 minutes after me, let's go down to the chapel and get married. He also did apologize to Shania Twain for coming to the wedding and wasting her time singing You're Still the One to a marriage that only lasted 5 minutes in Vegas. But look, Appleton moved on. He got him a new man. He's dating this art dealer by the name of Federico Castro Bernardi, who's Italian. And good looking, by the way. Let me pull that picture up because we did pull the picture up before when we was on the show. But I was like, he kind of give me Chris Hemsworth tease. Like he's all bulky, I mean, he's all built and stuff. You know how the gays are, they all about the aesthetic. But so yeah, he's dating him, and then Lucas, I posted in a previous story that we did, they were saying that he's dating Archie Madekwe from Saltburn, but he says that they're not dating, they're just friends. So there you have it. And in case y'all care, because it's like I really didn't care about this whole, but look, this has been in the news and the gay news and the gay blogs and stuff. So I wanted to talk about it. But if you do care, Lucas Gage is in the new Jake Gyllenhaal Conor McGregor movie, Roadhouse, which is a remake of the Patrick Swayze film that I loved back in the day. I think he met his wife Lisa Nini on the set of that film, and then they had a love thing. So that came out today, actually, if I'm not mistaken. It's on Amazon Prime Video. So if you haven't seen it, you can definitely check that out. And I'm definitely going to check it out because I love me some Jake Gyllenhaal. It's going to be a lot of eye candy, a lot of half-naked men up in there, a lot of people beating each other up. And I'm sure this is going to be like just mindless, fun action movie. And I really wish that Roadhouse would have gotten a theatrical release. But look, they made the deal to release it straight on streaming. So it is what it is. But I did want to play the clip of Lucas talking about it, but NBC Universal, they be blowing mine when it comes to playing clips from them, and they want to flag your stuff. And then I end up with a copyright, and then all of a sudden the video was blocked and stuff. So I don't want to waste the time, so I read it. Okay, so we got 2 more topics, and we are out there. Let's talk about Stuart O'Keefe, who we talked about the other day. He went and revealed that he was one of the original Fab Five on Queer Eye. And he, people, I guess, didn't believe him or whatever the case was, but the evidence, I already showed y'all the evidence. I pulled up the picture of him on IG that he posted of him with the original Fab Five. He said he was one of the original cast members. He was, amongst them, except he was replaced. Came to find out, they made him come in on audition again. He was replaced by Anthony Porowski. Went out to dinner. Apparently, Tan France, he said, had a hand in it. I was like, I don't know. I don't necessarily know, because then I was like, if Tan France did this, first of all, he a piece of shit. But then again, also, there was another thing that came out that they said that it was probably Ted Allen, who was on the original Queer Eye, that may have had a hand in it. But then Chef Stu went and what was it? He confirmed to David Yontef over at the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast that it was Tan France that had something to do with it. So I'm gonna play all that clip. It might be a long one, but it's at length, and you get all the tea. Hey David, how you doing? I love your show, especially when you were doing the recaps of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. I can't wait till that start up again, and he'll get Kim D or whatever on there, and they start talking mess about Teresa and them again. But I love David Yontef. He's definitely my cup of tea when it comes to spreading the celebrity news and gossip and all that stuff, and how you do it, and you really get the tea out there. So I'll play this clip, and then we're gonna come and we're gonna talk.
Little podcast, don't let it stew. And the next thing you know, you're making these viral headlines that you were one of the final 5 of Queer Eye, and
correct.
Kind of supposed to be there instead of Anthony.
I know. And like, it's just like back then when it happened, a lot of people don't realize, like, look, that was a really hard time for me. Like, that was like, it was like a year where I was just so sad, so depressed about the whole thing. And I never knew the reason why. I did kind of find out a tidbit of information last week that pretty much the reason why I'm not on it is because of Tan, which I didn't say on my podcast, because a lot of people reached out to me after I kind of told, nobody knew the story. So it was kind of like behind the scenes, he was doing whatever. And which I was kind of like, okay, well, at least now I know. Because you always think that, like, did I do something wrong? Did I like fuck up or like whatnot? Because like my audition was like perfect. Like we did the whole, they set up a kind of a fake kind of scenario with a guy. I would do the kitchen scene. I cooked like a great meal for him. Like it was great. It was all awesome. And that's why I got chosen initially on that day.
Why was it? Because there are a lot of things coming out. We'll get into it. Nothing to do with you, but like, why was it because of Tan France? He just didn't like you? I don't know.
Apparently not. And we all went to dinner that night, and he didn't turn up to that dinner. And I was like, something's up. And he was with Anthony that night because I was like, hey, let's all go to dinner so we can all get to know each other better, because I was chosen. And he didn't turn up. And apparently, like, he already knew that Anthony was getting it and I wasn't. So I was like, fuck.
Did he know Anthony before? I'm just really curious.
I have
no ulterior motive. I'm just so
of course. I mean, I don't know. It's like there's a big question mark over it. Like maybe they hit it off during the audition process, because obviously, like, I wasn't really talking to Anthony because obviously he's a chef, so he's going for my job or I'm going for his job or whatnot. So I guess they hit it off with JVN, and I got pushed out. I don't know.
Wow,
it's crazy. Yeah.
And Anthony was in the mix, like when you were, final, whatever, like you saw him circulating.
So there was, of course, because there was like one set of 5 guys and there was another set of 5 guys. So I was like group 1, we'll say, because I was the one that got chosen. And then they had the backup because, I guess like what can happen is, you can get chosen. What if someone didn't want to do it or didn't want to sign the contract or whatnot? Then to have a swap out, but yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you go through, because I just interviewed an actor, Paul Adelstein. He was in Shondaland. He went on to like great things. You've gone on to great things. You have a product line, you wrote a book, but like, do you go through that? Like you say you were depressed for like a year. Is it like, well, I don't know why I wasn't chosen. What's wrong with me? Or do you go to that? Like, listen, let's just be honest. The first Queer Eye was one thing. The second Queer Eye, everyone made $1 gazillion.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, do you go through that? Like, oh man.
Oh, believe me. Like, I thought like, yeah, I mean, believe me, like, I probably would have a house in the hills now. You know what I mean? It's like there is, but it's, after that initial.
Okay. So, I was like, you're not going to play no ad up on here. But anyway, so the clip goes on and it was like I think it was like 9 minutes. So I didn't want to play the whole clip. But if you can, y'all could definitely look it up on the YouTube if you want to see the full thing. But yeah, I was like, first of all, if Tan did some shit like that, first of all, you shady as fuck. And you want to know something? Now this makes me look back on the whole Bobby Burke situation where Bobby Burke and Tan wasn't getting along. Like, I feel like, is Tan really doing like some old shady shenanigan type, real trifling shit behind the scenes? And you know what? So this is why I this is the thing about this business that I despise about marginalized communities. And shout out to Godfrey, because I saw Godfrey did a Club Shay Shay interview. I don't know if it's out or they were just showing clips online. But Godfrey, the comedian, did an interview with Shannon Sharp for Club Shay Shay. You know, I told you he the Wendy Williams. They call him Wendy Williams with a gym membership or what they call with like a whole weight set. But anyway, so he went and said like, and people was getting mad over him over the fact of him saying that, you know, when it comes to black people, like we don't support each other, like we're not out here really rooting and inviting each other on each other's podcast. And whenever you get an opportunity or whenever you get into a place of success, the first thing you want to do is sabotage other people, or you don't want to share your knowledge or the things that you learned that screwed you up with the next person. So that way they know what not to do. I've always been the type of person that, like, I'll give you the shirt off my back. Like, I'll go out of my way. If you need something, I'll definitely help you out and tell you what not to do. Don't do it like that. Do it the way I like. You know, I'm always willing to lend that helping hand. I never understand. This is why I've always said this too. Like, I have no problem if you hit me up and be like, "You want to do my podcast?" Sure. But hit me up. Like, and I've done plenty of podcasts where I've gone on and I've done interviews and brought on the celebrity news and gossip and done things. If you ever want me to come on your show, yes, I'll do it. Because I feel like strength in numbers. It's always a good thing if you want to help other people out instead of just trying to hoard and do things on your own. Yeah, there'll be some people, and you live and you learn, that will do some shady shit to you down in the long run. But for me, I'm always thinking of that good karma, and I always want that to come my way. So I never understand, like, well, I do understand what he was saying. When he was just basically saying, like, you know, we don't support each other, we don't help each other. We're always trying to tear each other down, or the only way when we have a platform, we spill tea on each other instead of helping people up. You don't see white people doing that, and you don't see Jerry Seinfeld doing that to, you know, whatever other white comedian or something's out there. We do it to each other. Same thing with the gay community. It's like, even there ain't that many roles out for the gays to begin with, whether it's scripted or unscripted. So when you get to a point where somebody has a job or whatever the case is, then all of a sudden it's like, well, damn. Now you slithering your little shady ass behind the scenes, trying to do some shady shit towards me. And it's the same thing with Bobby Burke. It's sort of like, you know, he did slip up that Bobby might have been fired. Instead of giving a new contract. And then here you go slithering, which sounds similar to this thing. Now Jeremiah Brenton's up in there, who's a friend of Tan's. So Tan is all of a sudden a casting director. He gets to decide who gets to be a part of the show and maybe, who knows, maybe Tan ass, because he is dark, was intimidated by the beauty of our chef from Ireland. Because I was like, oh, that's a cute accent. So Stu, you know, maybe he's intimidated by Stu's beauty. That's a good looking man. And if everybody gelled together and has that amazing personality, why not have them be a part of the situation? But you wanted somebody, I guess, younger and cuter and more whatever, I guess less intimidating up in there. I don't know what his reason is, but I guess Tan can go on Instagram and say all his little, oh no, I would never do that stuff like that. And we believed you for a second, but now that two people's coming at you, it's kind of like making us look at you sideways. Sidebar, with all this drama that's coming out about Queer Eye, do you think y'all want to watch the show? Because quiet as it's kept, I ain't really been keeping up with this season or any of the seasons. Like with me, I always like the original with Carson Kressley and you know the others, and Ted Allen and Kyan Douglas, and who else is part of the show? Jay Rodriguez, like those are my people. Like that was the show I grew up with. And then they had the little house track at the beginning. Who I think who sang the, I forget who sang that theme song, but you know this was like when they were doing circuit music and stuff, and then incorporated. I was like, yes, you give me a life with that music, and that was on Bravo back in the day. So Queer Eye was fun back in the day. Now it's just like I don't know these phony balonies. I don't like none of them on there. The only one I liked was Bobby Burke. Karamo too phony for me. Jonathan, Gay Jesus, she be doing too much, and then come to find out that they're a problem. that they've been out here just being messy and having little temper tantrums and bipolar episodes. So that show's a mess. But I don't know, with all this drama and all this controversy and stuff that's coming out, I'm like, does this make you want to sit and watch the show? It actually doesn't. It's turning me, more than anything, it's kind of turned me off. But I love hearing the tea and spilling it on this show. And shout out to you, Stuart. I'm gonna check out your podcast, which was in the background. I forgot the name of it, but I'm gonna definitely check out his podcast. It's got to be on the Spotify or one of those things, like Race Chaser and the other ones that I watched. Okay, so let's get to our final topic, and let's talk about Violet Chachki, who was talking about there might be too many damn drag queens on Drag Race. Now, shout out to Pink News for this story. Said drag queen and RuPaul's Drag Race star and winner of season 7, Violet Chachki, thinks there might be too many drag queens. RuPaul's Drag Empire spans 16 versions of its flagship show, which the next episode comes on tomorrow. I'm excited. 8 soon to be 9 all-star spinoffs, and count them 20 international programs, including in the UK, Canada, and Australia. Which, you know, the Australian one is about to be taken over by Michelle Visage. With all that drag come all these drag queens. To date, more than 600 Drag Race contestants have sashayed through the workroom doors, down the runway, and more often than not, found themselves at the business end of a lip sync. The increased visibility has inspired more than a few casual viewers to try their hand in heels at the art form themselves, but not everyone is entirely thrilled about the platform's popularity exploding in recent years. Speaking to news outlet Agence France Presse to promote her appearance as the first male-bodied drag queen to perform at the Crazy Horse Paris Cabaret, Drag Race Season 7 winner Chachki has spoken out about how crowded the market has become, saying, I went to Catholic school, so I was always told I'd have to wear a uniform, and you can't wear this or that. Drag is always rebellious, always punk, Chachki said, adding that RuPaul's Drag Race has changed that. When I started drag 12 years ago, it was really underground. It was not a career you would want. There are maybe too many drag queens at this point. Now it's become a career path. It's become oversaturated and homogenized, and you can see lots of people ripping off. Now, Chachki did go on to qualify her thoughts, admitting that overall the increased queer visibility is a good thing. Saying if people can get pleasure, enjoyment, escapism, therapy, confidence, these are all tools that can help you navigate life. Life was very difficult for me until I found drag. She also addressed the hatred directed at drag queens, especially in today's political climate. So there's always going to be resistance. But a famous drag queen told me early on that if you have any haters, you're doing something. If you don't have any haters, you're doing something wrong. Well, I've always heard that, child. You have to be upsetting somebody. I much rather have people hating me than being indifferent. And here, sister. She also said performing at Crazy Horse is a dream come true. The first male body person on this apparatus is historic and huge honor. For me, drag culture is always therapeutic. And look, everybody gets what they need to get out of drag and Drag Race. And I have to say this, like, I've always looked at drag as some sort of a fuck you, a punk sort of thing, a middle finger to society. And RuPaul does say that a lot whenever he talks about drag and is defending drag and that sort of thing. But yes, RuPaul's Drag Race has Disney-fied the art form. So I truly get where she's coming from with that. But then again, is Violet one to talk when you use the platform to benefit off of drag and getting yourself to where you are today? Because quiet as it's kept, Miss Mamas used she used the Drag Race to get famous and for people to know who she is, and also she's performed in many other places. Like, I met Violet back when I was in the circus and they had like the big Halloween event that Bianca Del Rio hosted and had the everybody rolling with her, her jokes and all the other stuff, and Violet performed because she does a lot of like the cabaret circus type stuff. So she was one of the girls that was there. Cameron Michaels, a bunch of other queens performed, and yes, Violet was one of them. And I met her; she's cute or whatever. But and good on her for what she is. But I told her, so on one hand, and I do agree, I do feel like it's oversaturated, and you have to find new ways to stand out as a queen on Drag Race. So it's not easy to get up in here and really like make a name for yourself and to put yourself out there and that sort of thing. And shout out to Violet, who was one of the queens that got to be a part of the whole ball situation with Madonna. She was one of the many queens that got to be up there and to actually score the voguing contest at, you know, on the celebration tour, which is doing really well. It's sold out, and Madonna's making a lot of coin. She's, you know, out here doing what needs to be done. So shout out to her. But I definitely get it. I do wish that drag had that whole punk aspect to it, but you know what, in this day and age, the way drag is right now, especially with a lot of the government coming after drag queens and don't want drag queens reading to kids and all that other stuff, I feel like it's needed now more than ever. So shout out to you, Violet. While I get what you're saying, I kind of like, girl, you kind of benefited from the whole drag race thing too, and you won. But yeah, but I do think it is a bit oversaturated because they have so many spinoffs. But you should expect that that was going to happen because when you do a lot of spinoffs with a show, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have like over 600 queens on these shows and counting. So there's that. But anyway, so we are at the end of our show. Thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Thank you for all of you who were sitting here watching the show. I see we have a lot of people that have been watching in, you know, on YouTube and on the Twitter. So thank you all. But before you leave, do yourselves a solid and myself. And please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button so that way you know when we go live with another brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I'm probably going to be busy for the next 2 days, so you probably won't get another show from me and possibly until the weekend unless something interesting comes out. Other than that, I'll probably come back at y'all, you know, coming Monday. So, and I've given y'all a lot of content. I think I did at least 14 topics in under 2 hours, which kudos to me because I feel like if there was a lot of people in the chat, maybe the episode would have went on a little longer. But it was like me getting through, powering through these topics. It was a lot, and I was like, I need to get through these topics, Chad. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for always supporting the show and showing your love to the Chris Avalon Unfiltered show / podcast and all that good stuff. And so love you all, and until next time, ciao, ciao, darling.